there's a real question about whether there's a massive shift happening now in terms of world alliances long term.
Well, it's definitely, I think, a new world order.
Battle lines for a new world order based on power.
The new world order.
Because you really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order.
I think the president has sought to it. There's a new world order in trade. There's a new world order in globalization and the way that we invest in our economy versus, foreign supply chains. There's a new world order, and that the president is willing to shake up some old alliance structures. I mean, NATO, I think, is much different because of the president's leadership than it was 10 years ago. It was sort of coasting. It was effectively a protectorate of the United States of America. Obviously, you saw what happened in Venezuela. So, yeah, the president is putting a stamp on world history.
This clip went super viral, and I had people tagging me to it saying, what do you say to this? You like J.D. Vance. Here he is saying he's for the New World Order. You have to go off what the policies are to decide if they're New World Order. And the Rockefellers and the globalists for 80 years have been calling this corporate British Empire, U.S. Empire, neoliberal system the New World Order. That means the carbon taxes. That means the UN being in charge, the World Economic Forum calling the shots, BlackRock being in total control, the whole Bill Gates, Rothschild, Rockefeller, international neoliberal order that they had established, that they admit is totally in trouble. Everybody's turning against him, regardless of Trump.
Sees the need for a great reset. So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other publications whose directors have attended our meetings and restricted their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward a world government.
Let's start with a term that we're hearing quite a bit about in the last couple of years, the New World Order. We like to say in this country that we have the ability as Americans to elect. But the problem is we do not have the ability to select. We can only elect, which means that we can only vote for those candidates which are put before us by our masters, our hidden masters behind the scenes.
A new world order can emerge, a new era.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
That system is in free fall collapse. So when you hear the old international order is dead from them, their new world order is dead, you see Putin saying, we now have to work with other nations to build a new world order. They're about the new international order.
Before our eyes, a completely novel world order is taking shape, and it's unlike everything that we know from the past. For example, Westphalian system or Yalta system. New powers are emerging. The nations understand more clearly their interests, their self-worth, uniqueness, and identity.
But the public, when the globalists would talk about their plan, they were saying, we control the world. We're establishing a planetary government, our new world order. So you call a new order, whoever it's run by, you can say America fighting off the British, creating the American system was a new world order. The British wrote, if this continues, our empire will fall. And it did. It took 100 and some years. That's the point, is a new boss, a new system. And there's a lot of the old same globalist players in there trying to salvage this and repackage the old New World Order as the new New World Order. And there's a big battle inside the Trump administration on how we form this new system, because a new system is being formed. And I don't just expose the globalist system and other systems, the communist systems. I promote good ones and try to get the public to promote good systems. Team America, Team Humanity, a system pro-God, pro-family, pro-natalist, pro-expansion. That's what I always explain. We can't just oppose the globalist order. We have to promote other systems and popularize those so that we can fill the vacuum with our new world order that isn't a centralized global government, but is nation states working together towards common aims and promoting freedom and justice and soft power.
Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. It is Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2026. Thank you for being here. Checking. Sounds good. Right on. We're doing it. I always have to consider if I have sound, if my camera's on, if my video's dragging. I have to do all this stuff before I get started. And then as I get started to make sure that I'm good to go. And we're good. And that's great. Welcome to the show. Got hell of a bunch of stuff to go through. This Iran war is heating up. It doesn't look like we're getting out of it anytime soon. You know, President Trump's running around talking about the war's over and we're out and we're winning and all this stuff. And the Iranians are like, you ain't won nothing, man. We're gonna stay in here forever. You got to think about it. If if you think about it, this is a pretty shitty little thing going on. I'm not about bashing Trump and you know, if you've been here for any length of time, you know, I don't get down with like, talking shit about Trump or anybody really. I try to stay, even liberals, I try to stay in my lane, but this one's bad. This one, I don't know a way out. And we're going to show you tonight. But let's talk about, we got the New World Order. We have China. We have now Iran. Now we have, all this propaganda about sleeper cells. Not saying that they're not there, but this one in California, and I'm going to show you a clip here shortly. And Kyle Seraphin put it pretty good today. Like and a few people have talked about it. Sleeper cells don't fly drones into California. And matter of fact, the whole drone thing came out in February 25th or 6th or something like that. When, and now they're saying, oh, 4 drones are missing. Somebody stole 4 drones. How do you steal 4 drones from a military base? You don't. So a lot of propaganda going on, and we're going to get into a little bit of it tonight. I'm a little heavy on the Iran thing, and I apologize, but it's just such a hot topic right now. And I want to give you all the different angles on like what is really going on from the people, that may know a little bit about this more than we do, unless you're a military, brass or military, Navy SEAL or something. We don't really know what's going on. But I'll tell you right now, they know what's going on and it doesn't look good. And they tried to warn Trump. The smart people in the administration tried to warn Trump about going into Iran or bombing Iran and what was going to come about it, because this is going to be a sticky war that we might not get out of for 20 years. And there'll be a bunch of casualties. I mean, from what I can tell, they're lying about how many people are dead. They're not telling you, they're not telling us the truth about all this stuff. And I don't think any war is good. I don't like any of it. If we have to do it, let's get in, let's get out. And it looks like this is going to be a prolonged one. We've killed their head, spiritual, what do you call it? Their pope. You mean, their high priest. Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. All right, where are we at? Let's get into this New World Order thing just a little bit. Now, Andy Fuseli said it best. I got a small clip, very small clip, about like where we're at as a populace, as a conservative movement, as a common sense, normal, like liberal, because like we're, most of us are all liberal leaning in ways of like we don't want war, we want peace and prosperity for our families. That's kind of the thing. And he said it best. He really did. And he's saying that, and he's been saying it for a while about how it what's going on in our country is out of control, and we've had the opportunity here to do something about it, like really, really do something, and kind of like take the bull by the horns and make some positive change for America. But he's got these people in the administration that are, oh, don't do that. You're going to make this one matter, that thing, this, do that. And what we've got is nothing. We've gotten zero. And, there has been some things like, there's been some pedophile kid, different thing, I think six, child sex traffickers got arrested or convicted 2 days ago. Great. That's awesome. But they're, low hanging fruit. I want to see Bill Gates. I want to see Dr. Fauci. I want to see Bill Barr. I want to see, people like that. I want to see the people that are smiling in their mansions off of all of our tax money that they siphoned off from us. Nancy Pelosi. I want to see people like that getting hung up, drug out into a courtroom and handcuffs put on them and walked, perp walked and, like they did all the people that they did that to, middle of the, 5 a.m., kick your door in with bullhorns and automatic weapons to your face to remind you that they're boss and, and you might have been praying outside of an abortion clinic or something and you got hemmed up and took to prison. That's what we want to see. We want to see some real stuff, but it's not going to happen because it's always been this way. The Republicans have no guts. They have no guts. So anyway, let's listen to what he has to say here. And I've done a big old shift around here because I'm working on getting my system to where it runs smooth. It's easy to operate. And so we're making changes until I feel comfortable. I'm going to keep making changes so it's comfortable for me to do this because I have this monitor over here and there and this and that, blah blah blah, and it's always too confusing. And then I get tripped up and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. So we're working out the bugs in the video that we're rolling with. Bye bye.
We are to the point where we want to protect the United States of America and not have it compromised by third world cultures or cultures that don't fit here. We are tired of the crime. We are tired of the living in fear. We are tired of the financial oppression. We are tired of the lies. We are tired of the propaganda. We are tired of the intentional division. And we want it cleaned up. And Trump said he was going to clean it up. It hasn't happened. And it could happen very fast. I think most people understand that. And that's what we elected him to do. I think most people that voted for Trump wanted him to take drastic, harsh action. And I think he's got a lot of people around him now that are saying, oh, you don't want to do that because that'll make them mad. Dude, those people are going to hate him no matter what. They're going to hate him no matter what he does, whether he does it easy or whether he does it hard. If we really want to fix the country, it would be much more effective to do it real hard, fast, so that people can see the result of what those changes look like for the next 3 years, and they'll never go back to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how do you get that? How do you really accomplish that by, I'm just going to say it, it's more important to, have Bibi Netanyahu in White House 7 times to, to bomb Iran, to give other countries money. And, he drug in all these different countries to do this tariff thing and get the economy rocking and do all this stuff, get the gas prices down. I bought fuel today, Friday. Bought fuel yesterday. I knew it was going to go up. It's went up over $1, maybe more. $6. I'm in California, so there's a $1.70 tax on our gasoline. So, It's $6. So it was just 4. So it's $2. It's it's $1.75, $1.80, depending on where you go. And so all the stuff that he was doing was great when he did it, but now it's sliding fast. And by the middle of next week it's going to be 650. I mean, and he let uh Israel or Netanyahu or whoever's pulling the strings over there. Don't know if it's Netanyahu or if it's somebody else that's really pulling the strings. And I don't know. I don't know if Netanyahu's a puppet like, all the other people in office. They're always controlled by somebody else. I don't know. We don't talk about that enough. But what I do know is Trump doesn't go to the gas pump and put gas in his vehicle, right? His driver does, right? So he don't know how much it is to go buy, a couple bags of groceries for your family. He don't have any fucking idea. He has no clue, right? But we do, and we're feeling it, and it's bad. It's really bad. My wife was like, I can't believe I spent $350 and I got hardly anything at the store for the week. And I'm like, yep, I get it. And always been I've been one of the Trump's biggest supporters, man. And I'm just like, nah, this something's up. Something's up. I don't know. And then you start thinking that way, and then you start seeing stuff on the internet, and then pretty soon you're like, is that all? Is all this stuff been just a mirage, fake? Is all this stuff that we thought was really good going on? Is it all bullshit? So anyway, that's just my little thought on it. I don't know for sure if I'm trying to I'm trying to give my best here to be in the middle of the road, and I'm getting further and further and further and further, off to one side about this whole thing. And you know, but I'm trying to stay neutral. So I'm going to do my best. You know, don't make me wrong if I get leaning one way or the other, because it's getting to the point to where when I don't understand it and I'm like second guessing or doubting what's going on with Trump and the administration, which I've been there for a while, but all the different things that's going on, we could get into it. The Charlie Kirk, the Epstein files, the Iran war, the Netanyahu, the Israel. I mean, just all these different things all looks like we are in like some simulation. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it just seems like it reminds me of some of those movies that we've watched in the last few years. Leave the World Behind, Civil War. I mean, all these different movies, these propaganda movies that were out. It's becoming more and more and more, you know, actual, real, actually coming to fruition. You know. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, all right. So please go if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Go to the QR code, hit the QR code, go to My Patriot Supply. If you hit the QR code right there, or go to the description in the live stream, you can go to My Patriot Supply, check out what they got. Probably more now than ever, you need to have restorable food, and possibly a water filter system. So if something happens to the water, because there's talk. It's going to wait till later for this, but I'll talk about it now for a second. There is talk about China, and we've talked about this a lot in the past, but it hasn't been real prevalent till now, where they're talking about, while we're distracted with this war in Iran, would be a really good time to, you know, knock out the water, knock out the electricity, EMP attack or whatever like that, while we're distracted. And could it be a false flag? Possibly. What would you do if you had no power for 2 weeks? How would you survive? Could you survive? Can you survive? Do you have propane? Do you have restorable food? Do you have a way to keep your refrigerator running when there's some kind of a disaster or when, some kind of a hack or whatever that happens, right? Because you remember we talked about it last year quite a bit actually about how for some reason, like there was like twice last year that my cell phone wouldn't work. It just, it wouldn't work, you know, and it was only in certain areas, certain people couldn't use their phone, like California and Nevada and, different places like that. But, the East Coast had cell phone service. And then 3, 4, or 5 days later, East Coast didn't have power on their cell phones and, all that stuff. Those are all tests, in my opinion. And, that's my thinking is it's all a test to see what they can get away with for when they pull the plug. But I'm prepared. I'm super prepared for that. Hopefully you are too. Go to my Patriot Supply, hit the description or the QR code. Just check it out. I mean, it's like right now. It's like 42% off. They have payment plans. If if you're struggling and you know that you need to do it, but you can't really afford it, you can do 3, 4 payments on restorable food and generators. And I have the 3300. It's the best generator. I mean, I could use it. I have used it for my whole house. And anyway, check it out. We're gonna move on. God bless you all. I hope that you're paying attention to what's going on because this is not like me, fear mongering or whatever. This is very scary. It should be. Everybody should at least be concerned and prepared. Hey, be prepared, and so that way, if nothing happens, you're prepared, and if something happens, you're prepared. Especially if you have children, right? Yeah. So one other thing, I have the Lexapro water filter, and you pour the water in the top. It goes through. It holds like 5, 6 gallons. I don't know, 10 gallons or something. And the water is so clean. When we was like, well, we got 2 of them. Let's use one and see how if the water tastes like shit. What's the water going to be like? We just use it all the time because it purifies the water, and you don't know how clean the water is, even with your refrigerator with the filter, because the refrigerator, if you change your filter every couple months, your water's kind of filtered pretty good. Even with that brand new filter in our refrigerator, when we use the Lexapro water filter thing, the water tastes so much clearer and cleaner, and it, doesn't smell awesome. Anyway, all right, enough of that. All right, here we are. All right, so we're going to get into this. President Trump. I'm going to do my best, okay? I really am. I'm going to do my best. Let's do this John Brown report. And then let's do this John Brown report, and I'll be right back, and then we'll get into this stuff. Actually, let's save that. No, we'll do it. We'll just do it. It's on my thing. It's supposed to be next.
It was unheard of for a sitting American president to file a lawsuit against a news outlet. This never happened before.
Until President Trump returned to office for a second term. But now he has sued the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and as of this morning, the BBC.
President Trump, domestic propaganda has been the bane of your existence.
Obama repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which then permitted propaganda to be in broadcasting. It no longer said that it had to be credible.
Inevitably, Obama's Orwellian Smith-Mundt Modernization Act will be amended or repealed. We are going on nearly 15 years of its implementation, and mainstream media has become nothing short of an enemy of the people. But you knew that. Case in point, in the heart of New York City, outside the opulent Gracie Mansion, American patriots led by J6 prisoner Jake Lang gathered to sound the alarm on the creeping Islamic influence under Mayor Zohran Mamdani's regime.
An explosive device with bolts and screws was thrown into a crowd. It happened in New York City on Saturday during a protest that turned violent outside the mayor's official residence.
New York City got extremely lucky yesterday. TATP is enormously volatile. It is not very stable. It's extremely powerful. And it is the footprint, and if you go by past events, of serious bombing attacks. The London 7/7 attacks, Richard Reed's attempt on a plane. Many of us remember the Ariana Grande attacks outside the Manchester Arena. These are situations where you're well into double figures of people killed, never mind injured.
Instead of condemning the barbaric attack, Mayor Mamdani, a self-proclaimed progressive Muslim template, doubled down on vilifying Lang as a white supremacist.
This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home.
The mainstream media echo chamber followed suit, amplifying smears against American patriots and populism.
Authorities say they were part of a group of nearly 125 people counter-protesting a much smaller anti-Islam demonstration led by Jake Lang.
The violent
A pardoned U.S. Capitol insurrectionist who has frequently sought out political confrontations in the months after President Trump gave him clemency. In a statement, Mayor Zohran Mamdani saying, quote, yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism.
Obama's CIA media monstrosity uses many tools in their propaganda toolbox. One of those is called minimized framing, where certain aspects of a story, event, or issue are deliberately downplayed, underemphasized, or minimized in the framing process. This allows acts of terror, sedition, or treason to carry on toward their goal. CNN recently illustrated minimized framing in stark detail, posting about two jihadist terrorists as if their innocent lives took an unexpected turn on a lovely warm day in New York City. CNN had to redact and apologize. Another tool is outright lying.
Two Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and the House Speaker Mike Johnson says nothing really to condemn those comments. I incorrectly said that the bombs that were thrown by ISIS-inspired suspects in New York over the weekend were directed at Mayor Mamdani. They were not. I failed to catch and correct that mistake in real time, and I take full responsibility for that.
This blatant bias exposes the deep state's playbook. Protect the invaders, demonize the defenders, all while sleeper cells activate across the homeland, plotting the next 9/11 style horror in real time.
In Michigan, at the synagogue about 25 miles away from the big Islamic headquarters there in Dearborn, where the politicians openly chant death to America, death to Trump, death to the U.S. military, death to Israel. We have reportedly him crashing a vehicle through the building, into the building, and then opening fire. And then we have an active shooter alert issued also at Old Dominion University.
What do you see? I mean, it's not just fear of Iran and what's happening. There's been a rise in white supremacy as well here in the U.S.
If we start seeing more of this, this is the Iranian sleeper cells. Now, the Iranian supreme leader, or whoever put the report out officially on the government, because reportedly he's in a coma, Israel says, and they haven't lied so far when they get these guys and kill them. They didn't lie about the last guy total they killed last week. So I would believe them on this. They don't usually lie about who they've killed or wounded. But in the report, he says, we've got asymmetrical warfare. We've got other systems they can't counter ready to hit them where they live.
Dangerous propaganda doing the work of the enemy. Truly the enemy of the people. Gaslighting to the nth degree. John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
Over 2 million people have cognitive disabilities because they do not have enough iodine. In the 20s, they found this. That's where they put in the salt
Lost my screen. There we are. All right. Thank you for working with me here. So yes. So let's get into this a little bit. So we heard stories about I'm already burning up. So we heard stories about that there was, Iran's going to fly drones into California, and so I did a deep dive into that. Found out that that was fake. There was several different attacks. We covered it on last week, Monday. We covered it. Pipe bombs, nail bombs, different thing, a Molotov cocktail, and all these different things on protesters, and you've seen that with Jake Lang and all that stuff. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know that much about him, but it sounds like he's out there doing whatever he's doing, protesting against the Muslims or whatever, which is fine. If that's what you want to do, that's great. I'm more concerned about the globalists and the Iran war and what the president's doing to our country right now, whether or not we're going to pull out of this or not. I have a couple clips that's going to be shocking to you about the administration and stuff. We'll get into it shortly, but what I want to show you is I want to cover this drone thing just to clear it up, because I got 4 different text messages from some of you guys that watch the show that have my contact, and about this drone strike thing that's supposed to happen in California. I'm gonna clear that up. We're gonna get that right out of the way, and because I that for somebody that doesn't know what's going on, that's scary, because you could be just driving down the road and get attacked by drones. I mean, it's pretty gnarly, but that's not how they operate. Okay, but we're going to show you briefly. We're not going to go deep into it. We probably will on one of the shows when I get working on getting a guest in here that knows about military action, to really get into that, because I don't know enough about it, but I've done a little bit of research on it, and let me just show you what I got, just to clear it up for the people that are concerned about it, because it is. I'm one of those people that is very concerned. I was worried about not having power, so I went and got 2 generators. You know what I mean? I was worried about not being able to um, feed my family, so I have I don't know. I think I have enough propane to last for quite a while. I think I have about 12 jugs, full jugs, because I just don't want to be able to take care of my house and my family. You know what I mean? But when you start talking about attacks on U.S. soil, that's when I start going, could this been prevented? Because Trump says in this clip that I'm going to play here shortly, he's like, we know where they're at, I think. And that's not what you want to say to somebody like me, quote, conspiracy theorist, about where the terrorists are, or the sleeper cells or whatever. It's just not a thing. Trump does not look like the normal. I'm just going to say it. He does not look like the confident Mr. President from 6 months ago. He doesn't. He doesn't sound right. He doesn't look right. When he talks, he's attacking Massey. He's been on this campaign to attack Massey, probably the best congressman in the House. You know what I mean? And he he sounds like Hillary Clinton. It's horrible. It's horrible. Breathe, Webb. Just breathe. All right, let's get into it. Stand by.
Striking The FBI has warned police departments in California that Iran wants to retaliate for American attacks by launching offensive drones against the West Coast, according to an alert reviewed by, ABC News. When I saw this right away, it did not make a lot of sense because a lot of what we call Iranian sleeper cells aren't exactly attackers. Many of them are doing logistics, fundraising, intelligence collection. Those who are operatives, the type you would think like a terrorist with a gun, the majority of them, they've been tasked with doing kind of the surveillance and all the planning and plotting and reconnaissance around doing like assassination plots. So they haven't been plotting these massive terrorist attacks that we've seen ever in recent years, especially in the last 5 years on US soil. What they've done is targeted specific individuals, obviously most famously President Trump, but then of course, like, the head of CENTCOM, Mike Pompeo, of course, a former national security advisor, John Bolton, and then there's Iranian activists in the country, and they've targeted those, and even just in recent days put out bounties like on some of these female activists that are in the US or in Canada and Europe, etc. That is their normal modus operandi kind of on US soil. Now, of course, they have a much different plotting and planning structure if they're based in Iran, because they can reach out and touch kind of US military facilities or US diplomatic facilities. So right off the bat, a lot of Iranian watchers were saying, this is very strange. What ABC had put out is that, the Iranians were going to take drones and then shoot them off ships, off the West Coast and into California. So when you actually then go figure out where they got this information from and you look into the plotting, it's very interesting that they put this out at all. So when you go to the law enforcement memo that they said, went to all of these officers in California, the first line of it literally says, "Not for dissemination to the public or press. This message contains raw information subject to revision and is provided for your situational awareness only." The first line literally says, do not give this to the press. This is unvetted, raw information. So how can a press outlet run with, first off, a single source report, but second, the fact that says it's not ready and it may be revised, and then the next line actually says, we recently acquired unverified information. So even law enforcement was saying, hey, we have not even been able to vet this. And so this was sent to JTTF, right? So of course, the JTTF's all over the country. They work with FBI. They have embeds from FBI, and then they'll take information and pass it down to local law enforcement. Obviously, it's strange this one went forward. From what I heard, it was like an email tip that maybe got sent into the FBI. Now, law enforcement will do this, though, because they sometimes want to see, hey, are there other bits and pieces out there that could marry up with this, that we could confirm it, make it more credible, or just decide it's not credible at all, and then we can make sure, we don't interact in any way with the person who was the source of this information to begin with. So what was really like a benign reach out and sharing attempt with law enforcement ended up getting exaggerated and put out in the press, and then it went viral. A lot of other press outlets picked it up. And again, I want to go back to what I read to you. Again, they said the FBI has warned police departments in California that Iran wants to retaliate for American attacks. So first off, the info's raw, it's unverified. Also, the original timing of the information came in like around mid-February. It came in prior to the latest US bombing of Iran. So obviously the first one is early last year when we attacked their nuclear facilities. And then, of course, this time we came back around and attacked their leadership. So this report, this raw information, went to the FBI before we even did the bombing. But ABC News says to retaliate for American attacks. They wouldn't even know there were attacks yet. So again, another leap, another piece of exaggeration. And, this is very concerning that this is the type of information we get from our press. And a lot of people, this caused a lot of fear. It made a lot of people concerned. They're like, hey, this is the first time we're hearing about this kind of plot. Law enforcement was really confused because then a lot of press in local cities in California reached out to the law enforcement and they're like, we never saw this memo. So it was just a disaster to begin with. Then the next day, March 12th, the press secretary, for the administration, Carolyn Levitt, put out a statement, and it's pretty harsh, but it's very true. And she says, this post, referring to ABC's news post, on their X account regarding this, should be immediately retracted by ABC News for providing false information to intentionally alarm the American people. She goes on to say, they wrote this based on one email that was sent to local law enforcement in California about a single unverified tip. The email even states the tip was based on unverified intelligence. Yet ABC News left out this critical fact in their story. Why? To be clear, no such threat from Iran to our homeland exists, and it never did. Again, this was never a known plot.
Yeah, so that breaks it down. And, if you don't know who Sarah Adams is, she's a targeter for, retired targeter for the CIA, working with all the, different functions in the Middle East. So her information is verifiable, and she's solid. So when I first heard it, and I actually had heard it before you guys had contacted me, and I was listening, trying to get information on it, and everybody was saying, nobody was talking about it except for CBS News and Fox. The news, when the news, mainstream media talks about stuff, I don't really pay attention to it usually because they're usually full of shit. But I appreciate the tip for sure. I really do. But hopefully I straighten that out for you for now. It's unverified, and hopefully that doesn't happen. And I don't think that I think there's other things that we need to be concerned about, like the sleeper cell thing. That is probably something that we need to be more concerned about. And, what Sarah Adams was talking about several times in the past few years was that there's these trained sleeper cells that are all working together, all the different Al Qaeda, ISIS, and so forth, all the different, my brain's not catching up yet, but it will. All the different Middle Eastern terrorist groups are working together, putting their personal bias or their personal bullshit aside for the sake of this. And they all came here under Joe Biden's administration, and they're here, they could be the guy at the laundromat. They infiltrate in here. They get jobs that maybe they're a store owner, whatever, and then when they get the call, they they attack. And so that's the thing that we need to be concerned about. And to hear Trump say that he knows where they're at and they're keeping an eye on them makes no sense to me. Like, if you know that you have sleeper cells in the United States right now, and you know where they're at, they should be in federal holding to verify what they're up against. Their search, search the property, search everything they've touched in the last 6 months. You know what I mean? Watched them. You know, did all the recon on it to find out exactly what they're doing and how, you know, all the stuff before you let them go. But what we do, we'll get it. We'll know that they're there. We'll pay attention to them. We might even arrest them. Then we let them go, and then they shoot people up like that happened a few days ago. You know what I mean? Because that dude was he was on the terrorist watch list, and he had already been arrested and released. So anyway, we're not going to get into that tonight. We're just going to keep going. Let's listen to what our wonderful president said about this, which is shocking to me. Really shocking. We're gonna play this other one first. I think these are. Let's listen to what Trump says about sleeper cells, and then we'll move on. My bad.
They try to hit us back. Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty amazing to watch.
I don't like the sound of that. Said, I think. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the sound of that. I mean, if we know where they're at, I almost want to play that a second time, but if we know where the sleeper cells are at, we know they're here. The sleeper cells that would be here illegally. So why are we not arresting them? If we know that they're here and we know that they're sleeper cells, which means that they came here under the Biden administration during the open border crisis, and we know where they're at, but we're not arresting them. That makes no sense. That makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? I wish I had a good analogy for it, but I don't. Listen to this. Check this out.
Here's what jihadis have done in the U.S. in the last week. One shoots up a bar in Austin, Texas, kills 2, shoots 14. Another one lights a Molotov cocktail and throws it at Christians in New York City. Another one throws a nail bomb or shrapnel IED at Christians in New York City. Another one tries to bomb a Southwest flight going from Nashville to Fort Lauderdale. Another one throws another IED shouting Allahu Akbar at a protest near Gracie Mansion in New York City. Another one makes a bomb threat and forces a plane to land in Atlanta. Another one drops a bomb threat at Kansas City Airport. And the DHS is reporting that jihadi threats against churches across the US right now are completely exploding. Radical Islam, for some reason, is the one religion that the left will fight for till their dying breath for whatever reason. And Christianity is somehow always the problem. Funny how that works.
Gunmen opened fire in Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. He ended up killing 1 person and injuring 2. Now, this gunman's name is Muhammad Jallo. Muhammad here used to be a National Guardsman for the Virginia National Guard. Now, I get that shocking, right? Like one of our own committing terrorism on our soil. But the truth is, he ain't one of our own. He's a naturalized citizen from Sierra Leone. You see, Muhammad here served in the military from 2009 to 2015. After being discharged in 2015, he started drinking the Al-Qaeda Kool-Aid. So much so that he went back to Sierra Leone to meet up with ISIS. And while he thought he was planning an ISIS terror attack with an ISIS member in Sierra Leone, he was actually talking to an FBI agent, and they booked his ass in 2016. He was released in 2024, and he was allowed to stay. Now, my fucking question is, why was he allowed to stay here? I'm trying to figure this shit out. He was sentenced in 2017. He gets out in 2024, and he does this in 2026. What the fuck is wrong with us that we're allowing ISIS fucking terrorists, people that are trying to commit terroristic acts on U.S. soil, We're just allowing these motherfuckers to stick around no matter what, man. What the fuck? And all the while, this Muslim congressman fuck is trying to take your guns away in Virginia. And another attack happens to a synagogue in Michigan. Now, they don't want to release the information on the shooter on that one, which can only mean two things. He's either Muslim or trans. And all while this is going on, Mayor Man Mommy is doing this shit.
We'll make some of that.
I need y'all to wake the fuck up, man. I need y'all to wake the fuck up. This shit's only gonna get more bold and brazen, bro. That's now 2 ISIS-connected terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. And y'all think Islam ain't a fucking problem. Y'all better wake the fuck up, man. You know, 2 good things came from these situations, and they both have the same thing in common. A good guy with a gun splattered these motherfuckers' brains all over the pavement. Piece of bacon a day keeps Islam away. Love, peace, and bacon grease.
So you can agree or you can disagree. I agree. I agree. And that's why every day it gets more closer and closer to me going, what the hell's going on here? Why are we so soft? I mean, you know, I'm thinking about my children, thinking about my wife, you know what I mean? Thinking about her parents. I'm thinking about my neighbors. I'm thinking about all the kids. You know, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the church down the street, you know, because that's who is at, you know, that's who's in the crosshairs all the time. Churches and movie theaters and schools and, you know, and I know the school thing is usually a crazy person. I get that, but my point is, why do our FBI, our wonderful FBI, they're supposed to be so good at, taking care of, the threat, allowing this to happen? Is it our judicial system, or is it incompetence, or is it, what is it? What do you think it is? You know? Anyway. All right. I got to tell you, it's one of those things that just irritates the shit out of me. You know what I mean? It irritates me. All right, so while we have all this going on with Iran, Scott Bassett went and sat down with CNN or one of those, I don't know, I don't remember what news outlet it was, you know, some interview, and midstream, I don't know if you've seen this or not. It's like the really good joke. If you've heard this before, don't say nothing. I want to hear it again, right? So this one is shocking because watch his body language and his voice when he comes back. Because they pull him, he goes, and then he comes back, and you can hear his voice is startled, at least, way more than startled. Like he's shaky, right?
I listened to you on the.
The president wants you. Sorry, the president wants you right away.
Oh, okay. Okay. No problem at all. See you shortly, Mr. Secretary.
You can work that in.
Mr. Secretary, I have to say, it's a first, I'm sure a last as well, that an interviewee's been pulled away to go to the Situation Room. How was the president? Was he stressed?
No, the president is in great spirits. The Iranian mission is proceeding well ahead of schedule. And I have to tell you, Wolf, that I have a teenager who's considering military service. And I could give this team my highest compliment, from President Trump to the head of the Joint Chiefs to the Secretary of War. I would say that I would trust my child's life in their hands.
Did you catch that? Why did he have to say that? Think about it. I mean, if you've ever heard Scott Bassett talk on a mic or, on camera, he's very confident. He's very matter of fact. He's very to the point. He doesn't stutter. He's, very, like on point. But that was like, they just kidnapped your kids, but you got to go back in there and finish this interview, and then we're going to go pay the ransom or something. I mean, that's how he looked. He almost looked like, do you remember when Kash Patel and Bongino had that interview with, I don't know, Fox News or whatever, whoever they were lying to that day, and the look on their face when they asked them a question, and they were like, "There's nothing in the Epstein files," and Kash Patel looked like he's seen a ghost, and Bongino looked like he's seen a ghost. Remember that? That's how he just looked, and I wonder why. I do. I wonder what is behind the veil, and we're gonna just keep plugging along until we figure it out, because something's going on right now that they're not telling us, besides the fact that we're in a war with Iran that is already said that they're not cease firing. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep going. Until what they said was, until the United States and Israel get out of their country, they're not stopping. That's what they said. Anyway, so did you hear about the refueler that went down? Show you this. They were doing a refuel. They were, they send these refuelers out to refuel the jets that are, the combat jets, and there was two of them coming back, went down where'd they go? Damn, where'd they go down at? Oh yeah, it went down. They went down, and one of them went down in Iraq, and the other one was able to land. And they're saying that there was, at least 3, probably 6 people in the refueling jet that went down, and my understanding is it exploded. So,
War in Iran just moments ago, the Pentagon reporting a U.S. refueling aircraft has gone down in Iraq. The rescue effort now underway tonight. And it comes as Iran escalates attacks on oil tankers and oil facilities. And this evening, the first public statement claiming to be from the new supreme leader, what he's vowing Iran will do as oil and gas prices surge. Ian Pannell from the region again tonight for us.
Tonight, the urgent rescue underway after a military refueling aircraft crashed in western Iraq. The Pentagon says 2 KC-135 refueling tankers were involved, one going down, the second landing safely. That plane would have had a minimum of 3 crew members on board, and there are no ejection seats. Officials say this wasn't due to hostile or friendly fire. The investigation ongoing. It comes as Iran's new supreme leader with a message, making it clear they'll keep targeting the world's oil supply. These oil tankers coming under attack off the coast of Iraq. Explosions and flames lighting up the night sky. Iran releasing dramatic new video showing the moment the oil tanker in the port of Basra, Iraq was hit. The crew jumping ship to escape the inferno. Video circulating online, at least 1 person killed. And tonight, in his first public comments as Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, who took power after his father was assassinated, declaring war on the global oil supply. vowing that Iran will keep blocking the critical Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil passes through. The new supreme leader, who Israeli sources say suffered leg and facial injuries in an attack on the first day of the war, still hasn't been seen since he was named the new leader. Tonight, Iranian state TV reading a statement. It says it's from Khamenei, vowing to continue the effective and punishing defense, adding, blocking the Strait of Hormuz must certainly continue to be used. Iran attacking at least 6 ships and multiple oil facilities across the region in just the last 24 hours. In Oman, you can see the Iranian drone in midair and the nosedive into an oil tank in online video. Our James Longman in Erbil, Iraq, amid an incoming drone strike.
And that's another drone attack right over Erbil. We should hear it any minute. And in just the last few minutes, we've seen at least 3 of those come overhead here. That's missile interceptors taking drones out of the sky.
And tonight, global oil prices surging again, topping more than $100 per barrel today, with gas prices in the US up nearly 70 cents a gallon since the start of the war. Prices rising after President Trump said today stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is of far greater interest and importance to me as president than oil prices. Tonight, with oil prices surging, the president looking to ease concern at home. Overnight in Kentucky, the president declaring this about the war in Iran.
We've won. Let me say, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over.
And late today, the president saying this.
The situation with Iran is moving along very rapidly. It's doing very well. Our military is unsurpassed. There's never been anything like it. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
The president suggested the U.S. Navy will escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz if necessary. And he's urged crews on tankers to have some guts to push through the Strait of Hormuz despite the obvious dangers. Tonight, Energy Secretary Chris Wright saying the U.S. naval escorts likely won't happen until at least the end of this month.
It can't happen now. We're simply not ready. All of our military assets right now are focused on destroying Iran's offensive capabilities and the manufacturing industry that supplies their offensive capabilities.
Tonight, the U.S. unleashing a massive aerial assault on Iran, destroying warplanes. Iran saying the death toll soaring above 1,000. David, CENTCOM stressing this aircraft didn't go down because of hostile fire or friendly fire, but an urgent investigation now underway. David?
Ian Pennell from Tel Aviv for us again tonight. Ian, thank you.
Yeah, so they didn't get fired upon, but these military jet just doesn't fall out of the sky and crash and burn and blow up. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there, and they're not going to tell you because, you know, they're trying to, keep their poker hand close to their chest or whatever. But this is the thing that really concerns me is Trump's talking like it's over, but have you seen the Middle East? How it's Iran's, they're not slouches by no means. I mean, and I don't know, like Eric Prince and General Flynn and others, and his cabinet told him that it was a bad idea to go in on Iran, and now it was supposed to be a quick 2 or 3 days, and I think we're at day 12 or 13 right now. And from what it looks like, there's no end in sight. And I don't know how Trump thinks that it's over because it looks like it's just getting started. And Iran, you heard what they said. They're ready to continue. They're ready to keep the strait closed. And if Trump thinks that he's going to bring oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz and get through there, I don't see how that's going to happen. But hey, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the military, so maybe it's possible, but it seems like Iran's pretty fortified over there, and it looks like they're holding their own. So I don't know. I mean, I definitely want America to win. That's not the thing. It's just like, I can't believe we're in this when we're supposed to be talking about no more new wars, but they're saying it's not a war. it's it's an operation. So, I guess if you go in to have a knee replacement, it's just an operation, right? Okay. I guess. I don't know. Somebody tell me that I'm tripping and this is going to be over. I'm going to wake up from this bad dream. 'Cause if you think about it, this is what I see. And I'm just going to be honest as best I can here. About the time, from what I've seen, about the time that um, they stopped the Doge thing, things have kind of went in the wrong direction, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. Because up to the point to where I don't even know what month it was that that Elon Musk left the White House, middle of last year, whenever it was, things have just declined from there. And I mean, they had a falling out. I get it. Whatever happened. What truly happened is the globalist, the deep state, wanted Elon Musk out of there because he was messing up their money. We know this now. And they did close USAID. We haven't heard a thing about it since. It's probably in full operation. Knowing the government, they probably just turned it right on as soon as nobody was watching. I'm sure that's what happened. But anyway, we're gonna keep going here. So we got this war going on, and or this operation. We're gonna go. I guess we're gonna call it an operation. This operation where they're bombing each other over there going on, and Colonel McGregor came on Tucker or something or whatever it was, and he was like, "If you take medication that you need, you better buy all you can because with the Straits of Hormuz closed, you're not going to be able to get pharmaceutical medication. So insulin or what Motrin, whatever it is that you take, any life-sustaining medication, you better be buying it in bulk because uh, within I think he said 6 weeks, there's going to be none." Anyway, let's listen to what McGregor has to say about it.
First of all, if you need medication of any kind, you better go out and buy all the medicines you can get because in a few months they won't be available because the petroleum industry has a big role to play in the production of pharmaceuticals. So that's my first piece of advice. And secondly, start thinking in terms of storing food and any other items that you think you may need, because as this war continues, and it's going to continue, the impact that I talked about earlier is going to be felt here. We've had it. But in the meantime, I think you just need to prepare for the worst here. And once the stock market figures out, or the investors, the people in New York that run the financial system, who are largely part of the problem for us, they're going to say, "Oh my God," and you're going to watch the stock market tank, and you're going to watch the cost of a barrel of oil go up to 200 and potentially all the way to 3. And all of that is going to bring everything inside the United States to a screeching halt.
Yeah. And that's my biggest concern right there is that everything that we have, because we live a pretty comfortable life, able to go to the store and buy food and go to the gas station, get gas, barbecue on the weekends with your friends and your family, you know, uh, for those people that take like insulin to live, what are you going to do when there isn't any? And I get it. It's probably just fine. Everything's just fine, right? Everything's going to be just perfectly fine. But I've never known McGregor to be, like a fearmonger. You know what I mean? I've never known him to say things that weren't, pretty spot on. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it's all just, maybe this is just it's like a bad dream. We're going to wake up any minute. But so go to My Patriot Supply and hit the QR code right there on the screen. You can just use your phone, Go to My Patriot Supply and get you, you know, a 90-day or 6-month supply of food and water purifying system so that you can have clean water if they do shut the water off, or you know, if they do. One of the things that I was listening to a channel about not survival, but they were talking about what potentials that could happen in the event that we get into this full scale war. And one of the things is they'll take out our power grid. You know, there's like, you know, 4 or 5 different places in the United States where we have power grids, and the power grids were supposed to be. They put a bill in several years ago to have them put underground, and they wouldn't pass the bill. So they're exposed to, um, they're above ground, so they can high power rifle and blow them up, and then power grids out in that area. And if they do that, which, you know, that sounds like something that, you know, Iran or China or any of the other people that hate us would love to do, or one of these radical crazy people that hate America. You know, because remember that we still have that going on. You remember, you know, the no kings and the no ice and the, you know, all those crazy people too. Remember, we still have that going on too. We still have the Soros backed money out there and all that stuff. So I mean, even without the Iran war, we have that stuff going on. So anyway, go to the description in the show notes and go to My Patriot Supply and get you some stuff so that you can be prepared. All right, where we at? Oh yeah. So Glenn Beck was talking to an old he's an old media personality, Bill O'Reilly. We all know who he is. Most of us do. And he was talking about how it came about that Trump attacked Iran. Play that for you.
How do you read this war, what we're doing, what is coming, and what it's going to mean?
Okay, so a big gamble by President Trump, a big dice roll. And he reached a period in time, in history, where the CIA, NSA, all of our intel jibed with the United Nations and said, look, we knocked out a lot of their nuclear capacity in June of last year, but they have satellites and are close to being able to put together 10 nuclear bombs. Okay, 10. And so that intel came in, and that obviously got Trump's attention. So there was a massive discussion for months about, all right, what do we do? Because what the mullahs did was they decentralized their nuke making capacity. They spread it out rather than having it in one place. So then Mossad went in, and Netanyahu, and I don't think the Trump administration is going to mind me saying this, even though it hasn't been made public, but I'm a reporter and I have the information. So Mossad went in and said, look, on this Saturday, the Ayatollah and 25 of his thugs are going to be in this place at this time. So what do you want to do? Now, that was after 3 months of negotiations with the Iranians to stop their nuclear weapons program. And the last negotiation in Geneva, Switzerland, the foreign minister of Iran walks in and says, you know what? We're not stopping. Blank you. We don't care what you say. We're not stopping. And Witkoff, our chief U.S. and negotiator, had a report back to Trump. So that's the information Trump has. Number one, they're close to 10 bombs. Number two, they're all going to be drinking tea on Saturday morning in this spot. And number three, they're saying blank you to the U.S. government. They're not going to stop. That's how the decision was made. Now, ancillary, everybody knows the midterms are coming up, and Americans will largely vote on emotion and how they are feeling about their financial portfolio. but the president believes that he will be victorious in the next month or so. Puts us into April, puts us into China with Xi. And he believes he's going to have momentum after basically dismantling Iran, because that's what they're doing now. They're just wiping out its capacity to do anything, which is not easy, and that's why you're seeing the short-term pain. Now, people believe what they want to believe, and the president is no exception. If it comes his way, then he becomes a great president, which he wants, his legacy. If it doesn't, then Republicans will probably lose in November. So that's where we are.
There you have it. And that's how the cookie crumbles. So, it's like, put all your money on black and roll and, roll the dice, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you ever play craps? Either win or you lose. And it looks like he's going for a win or a lose. And, I think that they did not plan for Iran to be as powerful or as strong as they are. Remember, they've been working on, being prepared for war with whoever, us, basically, because remember, they've been saying death to America forever, death to Israel, death to America, saying that we're Satan, and for 40 years or better, 47 years, but 40 years they've been preparing for this. So they got plenty of stockpile of bombs and stuff, my understanding. I mean, I'm not in the Situation Room. I don't know what the hell's really going on, but I know what I've heard about all the deep dives that I've done on this Iran war thing. And they've been preparing for 40 years for this fight. And they're saying they ain't stopping. And you killed their Ayatollah, you killed the Ayatollah, the parents, the daughter, the daughter, the new Ayatollah. I mean, he killed some people in his family. He's probably going to fight to the death. You know what I mean? And my understanding, this is not talked about much, but I guess in one of after he was made the new Ayatollah, or whatever they call him, they bombed where he was at, and my understanding is he lost a leg or something, and he was in a coma or whatever, something like that. That's some of the stuff that I heard. I don't know how verifiable that is or how accurate that is, but that's what I heard from military source. So now, last Friday we had Mike in here, Master Sergeant Mike Rhodes, and he said that Iran will get pummeled. They'll just get, but I don't see that after, I think it's 14 or 15 days, however long it's been that we've been at war with them, and they're still standing. So he said, my source, he said that they're all hiding in caves. And whenever they come out for, to do something, they get blown up. So I don't know how true that is. Remember, Iran's all mountains, and they have all caves and tunnels and all that stuff all throughout that whole area. So that's what I know about that particular part, which little bit that I know. All right, CNN, the real scale of this war.
Qatar saying an Iranian ballistic missile has struck Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. That is the largest military installation for the United States in the entire Middle East. And it comes as a new CNN investigation is now looking specifically at the American targets hit so far by Iranian strikes, every single one of them. Tamara Klablawi is out front.
Satellite imagery showing the extent of the damage to U.S. military facilities across Gulf Arab countries is starting to emerge, part of Iran's furious response to an Israeli-American campaign that decimated its leadership. At least 9 U.S. military positions have been hit in less than 48 hours. These are relatively close targets. They're much nearer to Iran than its usual target, Israel. That proximity may give Iran's missiles and drones a better chance of hitting their targets. This is the port of Shuaibah, where just after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, an Iranian strike set a makeshift U.S. operations center at the civilian port ablaze. 6 American service members were killed in the attack. You can see smoke rising from the fire. The blown-out 3-wide trailer blackened on the inside. There are few signs of fortification. In another attack, a drone, this appears to be the Arash 2, crashes into U.S. positions in Camp Buring. A building severely damaged. American helicopters parked inside the base were nearly hit. In Bahrain, a Shahid attack drone flies into the base that hosts the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, one of the largest American naval formations in the world. It looks alarmingly defenseless. The drone hits one satellite communication terminal, clearly seen here. But the scale of the damage is more obvious here, warehouses and other buildings damaged, and another satellite communication terminal destroyed in a separate attack. We see this pattern of targeting throughout the region. At least 5 satellite communication terminals were destroyed. It points to a possible Iranian effort to cut US bases off from the outside world. Iran used an unprecedented barrage of missiles and drones. US Patriot missiles and other multi-billion-dollar air defense systems shot most of these out of the sky. But the ones that got through were enough to puncture the veil of security around oil-rich Gulf Arab states and the heart of America's security infrastructure in the Middle East.
Yeah, so just a little note on where they're at. Now, I don't know because that's propaganda media. I mean, you don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly how the media operates over there. Compared to here, they've been pretty accurate for the most part from some of the channels that I've watched. But that's what they're saying. Now, I don't know what happened to that. If that Ayatollah, I guess it's Khomeini, the kid. The son of the previous Ayatollah that got killed. I don't know if he is just in a bunker or if he's still in a hospital or what. I don't know, but because I haven't heard, they've been kind of keeping it hush hush. So anyway, one more little note from President Trump about how this war is going. Stand by.
The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us.
This was the shot heard around the world. Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
They're not the person who ought to be leading the movement if they are spending all day criticizing the president of the United States as covering up a Mossad rape ring.
Your taxpayer dollars are going to subsidize pedophile rings.
Or being a tool of the Israelis for hitting an Iranian nuclear facility.
Would you say it's a good idea to use military force to strike potential Iranian nuclear targets? My whole life, I've been told that Iran is getting a bomb. Iran is getting a bomb. Iran is getting a bomb. Iran is getting a nuclear bomb. And yet here in 2025, they do not have a nuclear bomb. We push back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border. So maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question. That maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years.
And again, one of my great irritations is when people use the third person plural without specifying who they're talking about and say they.
They were wrong about Iraq. They were wrong about Syria. They were wrong about Afghanistan. They were wrong about the Taliban. They were wrong about Libya. They were wrong about the Arab Spring. They were wrong about Yemen. They were wrong about the Arabian Peninsula. They were wrong about the 9/11 hijackers being Saudi Arabian. But hey, 10 times a charm. This time, we're actually right. Yeah, you're going to have to earn our trust on this one.
Charlie's voice is not silent. We're going to pick up that bloodstained microphone where Charlie left it.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Today, obviously, I just came back from Shabbat, from Sabbath, to the news of what is going on. And let's just say this. President Trump is the most courageous commander in chief in modern American history. There is no question about this. What he just did is the bravest move.
I am going to continue to ask the question, a 20-hour response in a country the size of New Jersey. That begs a big explanation. And more importantly, America is significantly underwriting the Israeli government $4 billion a year. We as American taxpayers deserve answers to this. We deserve answers. Also, if we're going to get into a regional or world war based on an intel failure. So, I mean, we pay for this. What are we buying, right? I got smeared as a Jew hater, an anti-Semite, and conspiracy theorist because I said exactly what I just said. And I refused to back down despite all the smears thrown at me because I learned during COVID. I learned when they told us that it came from a bat in the Himalayas. I learned when they told us the vaccine was safe and effective. I learned when they told us that ivermectin was horse paste, that you better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You've been on a lonely mission to convince the president not to engage in war in Iran and to get him to back out as quickly as possible, declare victory, and go home. It hasn't gone well.
No, it's been an abject failure.
What do you think Charlie would have been doing if he had lived?
I think he'd be doing the same. Of course, if there's one topic I talk to him a lot about is this. And no, of course. And his motive was pure. I sincerely believe that. His only interest was in the United States. And he certainly wasn't opposed to Israel. He loved Israel. He often said that. He didn't love Bibi. That's for sure. Sorry. Anyone who claims otherwise is lying or doesn't know. But he did love Israel. And both as a biblical concept and as a current reality, he went there and liked it. But he was totally opposed to this work. He said that many times. And but I do think his murder and all that has happened subsequently, whether or not they're connected, I can't say, but they've had the cumulative effect of intimidating the hell out of everybody. No one wants to pipe up. And I was already all in. I've been against a war in Iran for 10 years and doing whatever in my limited power to persuade decision makers not to do it because I don't think it's good for America. I'm not for Iran. Okay, stop. I just don't think it's good for the United States, and I've said that many, many times. And this time, I found that no one else wanted to say that in public because the costs seem really high. And I'm not whining. I hope I don't come off as self-pitying, but that's just a fact. And so, I don't know. I think we need to re-engineer this whole thing when it's over, hopefully soon, to see how it happened. Like, how was a country of 350 million people hijacked by a determined minority of ideologues whose interest is not in that country? Like, how did that happen? And I don't think it's a matter of like stoking conspiracy theories against the Jews or anything like that. In fact, I don't want that at all. In fact, one of the reasons I want full disclosure is so everyone can settle down and stop muttering darkly. I don't like dark mutterings at all. I like sunlight, to quote Justice Brandeis. And so I hope we can do that. And I hope that there's not more deception and obfuscation and hiding of the facts, because like that just makes people hate each other.
The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us.
Yeah, you're going to have to earn our trust on this one. This is more Israel pushing for Iran, but is that America's problem? That's a question. I mean, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is, you know what? They were wrong about Iraq. They were wrong about Syria. They were wrong about Afghanistan. They were wrong about the Taliban. They were wrong about Libya. They were wrong about the Arab Spring. They were wrong about Yemen. They were wrong about the Arabian Peninsula. They were wrong about the 9/11 hijackers being Saudi Arabian, but hey, 10 times a charm. This time we're actually right. Yeah, you're gonna have to earn our trust on this one.
Yeah, so I wanted to get the effect of that. Um, so I don't know Tucker personally, but what I do know about Tucker is that he's like a wholesome. He's wholesome. He's not like a full of shit, or a bigot or whatever. He really truly believes what he believes, and he was talking to someone recently on a podcast, and he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I gotta go talk to the president." He's got a personal relationship with President Trump, and he's like, "I gotta go talk to President Trump." And I guess he gave him a call. He didn't answer or whatever, so he was like, "I'm getting on a plane," and he was like, "I'm flying out to Mar-a-Lago or DC or whatever," and they called him and told him, "Don't bother." Basically, Trump don't want to talk to you or something. So whoever's in Trump's ear right now is causing Trump to go against all the values that he believes right now. And there's all the conspiracy theories going on. Oh, he's compromised, or Epstein files, or all these different things. There's all these different reasons why Trump has turned on the American people and all this stuff. And from listening to what Trump's saying, I think that he doesn't know the truth, and he's surrounded by the Susie Wiles and Jared Kushner's and the Whitcocks and all that stuff. And so he's only getting the information that they're giving him. And this has always been the thing with Trump. One, he trusts the wrong people and he has the wrong people around him, and he isn't, my opinion, this is just my opinion. I don't even know if it's fact, but my opinion is he doesn't know enough about certain things, and so he trusts whoever his advisors are to give him good information, and they fucking lie to him constantly. And so when this is going on, 'cause that's the only it's the only reason why I'm not saying, fuck you. You know what I mean? Because I know that Trump means well, even all the bullshit that's going on. I know that. And I know that if he gets the right information, he'll course correct, as he's trying to do, and he's not able to and he's playing tough. I get it, in front of the sticks, he's got to play tough, because, you know, these advisors, Whitcock, uh, Rubio, Kirshner, they lied to him. They told him that the only way out of this is to bomb them. Oh, and then Bibi Netanyahu telling him, I heard this other story, because I've really, really paid attention to what they're saying and all these little corners of these podcasts and different news clips, and I've put these things together that Bibi showed up on the last time that he showed up in DC or wherever. I don't know if it was DC or if it was I think it was in White House. And he gives Trump the information like they have everything to make 10 nuclear bombs. You heard what Bill O'Reilly said. So when you piece it all together, they have 10 bombs. They're getting ready to have 10 nuclear bombs, blah, 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 blah. If you don't hit them now, then they're gonna attack us with nuclear bombs, right? And so you heard what Bill O'Reilly said. And so when you piece all these different things together of all these talking heads and what they're telling Trump, it's perfectly clear that what they've done is they've made Trump to believe that the only way out of this was to bomb Iran before they nuked us. And that's what I believe happened. And so I believe that regardless if Iran was planning on attacking us or not, they made him believe that, so he attacked them. And then he had the opportunity to kill 46 of those terrorists or whatever you want to call them, the heads of Iran, all together for whatever they were doing, a meeting or whatever they were, as they said, drinking tea, whatever, and killed them all at the same time, right? And so that's kind of what I've pieced together. That's the only reason why I haven't completely just lost my shit on this show. And I'm really, really close, but I'm trying to be optimistic, and because everybody around me, really, to be honest, is like, everybody is just losing their fucking marbles behind this, because everybody's saying that this is intentional and Trump did this on purpose. He's been lying to us for years and all this stuff. This is the kind of stuff that's coming at me, right? And I'm trying to be, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm trying to be like in the middle here and not swaying one way or the other, and just kind of stand in the middle so I can see the forest through the trees, So that's where I'm at. Okay, that's where I'm at. And you make your own judgments, you make your own decisions. You you have an opportunity to make your own discernment around this. You know what I mean? But it's definitely one of those things that I'm thinking about my children right now. Thinking about my children's future and my children's children's future. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm paying attention to. And then I got the other part where, and you heard it. You heard what he said. Yeah, O'Reilly. He said a lot in that little clip with Beck. He said a lot. If this doesn't work, the Republicans are going to lose the midterms, and then you know what happens then, right? The impeachment start, the arrests start, the crazy liberal or leftist stuff starts, and we go right back to 2021, like that, or maybe even 2018, or what was it, 2018, when he lost the midterms right after he became president. He became president in 16, so 17, 18. So in 19, when he lost the House and he was a lame duck president, and then the COVID thing happened. Remember all that stuff that happened? It'll be a repeat with a bunch of extra stuff, because now they have this war on him, and they'll turn it around and say that he didn't have what's it called? It was illegal to bomb Iran. That's what they'll say, along with all the other stuff. They'll say that he lied about the Epstein file. It'll just be all this stuff. And then he still has that court case that's been put to the side until after his and I don't know if they dissolved that or not. My understanding is the court case where he had, I think 94 felonies or something for, some bullshit charges. They'll bring those back, and then they'll put Trump in prison. They will. They'll put Trump in prison. They'll put a bunch of other people in prison that were his supporters, because they've said that if you're a Trump supporter, we're going to put you in jail. Remember? They've said it. So anyway, all right. Enough of that. Just giving you the information. Do what you want with it. let's get into this. Yeah, we're going to be saving some for tomorrow night, but I want to get into the Charlie Kirk thing just a little bit, or not the Charlie Kirk thing. Excuse me. The Oh, wait, let me do this real quick. Nancy Mace put a bill out, a bill for to be, voted on about because she's got this big thing about the sex trafficking or sexual harassment things that's going on all throughout Congress. Right? They're spending your money, your taxpayer money, to buy off people for sexual harassment cases or allegations or whatever. And so she put a bill in to get for the vote on this, and it failed because all the Republicans and all the Democrats voted against it because they didn't want their names to be brought up because they've all paid off their accusers with federal money, with taxpayer money. Check it out. This is perfect government funding, right? Stand by.
All right, the same members of Congress that have been screaming nonstop for the full release of the Epstein files, the ones that didn't do anything about it while they were in Congress, of course, those same people just voted en masse to kill a bill forcing the House Ethics Panel to release all sexual harassment allegations that have been made against themselves. 357 members, 182 Democrats, 175 Republicans, voted to kill Nancy Mace's bill, referring the decision to the Ethics Committee, where it will get shot down. Only 65 members voted with Congresswoman Mace, and she joins us now to talk about that. So you had a bill to make public all the allegations against members of Congress. And as they always do, they vote to protect themselves, right?
Correct. Hundreds of them, over 300 Republicans and Democrats. And in fact, leadership in both parties were whipping the vote, making sure that my motion failed on the floor. And it was an abject failure to the people of the United States. It was shameful. And I don't want to hear one word out of a single person that voted against releasing the sexual harassment files of members of Congress. You don't get to say one word about Jeffrey Epstein or his victims. You lost that chance yesterday.
Yep. I can't chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Stand by. Let me see here. Yeah. All right, let's get into this.
State investigators, backed by the New Mexico Department of Justice under Attorney General Raul Torres, launched a full-scale search of the former Epstein estate.
The so-called Truth Commission seeks to identify ranch guests and state officials who may have known what was going on at the 7,600-acre property or taken part in alleged sexual abuse.
The fact of the matter was that he was basically doing anything he wanted in this state without any accountability whatsoever. And the ranch that exists out near Stanley, New Mexico, is basically on a 2-lane highway in the middle of nowhere. It was him with an airstrip and a sprawling place that he brought folks to that we know very little, if nothing, about.
Now renamed San Rafael Ranch and owned by Texas businessman Don Huffine since 2023, oddly enough.
This was obviously a dark place, and we wanted to put light in a dark place. It always shines the brightest when you do that.
Hang on a minute. Why did Republican Texas Comptroller candidate Don Huffines, through his venture firm Hest Investments, pour $1.8 million into Secretome Therapeutics back in 2024, a biotech outfit pushing regenerative medicine with their lead product STM-01, derived from neonatal cardiac progenitor cells sourced from babies under 30 days old, specifically infant heart tissue from newborns with congenital defects undergoing surgery. Meanwhile, Huffines' family snapped up Jeffrey Epstein's notorious Zorro Ranch in New Mexico at public auction years after the notorious transhumanist's death. A Texas politician tied to Epstein property in New Mexico, who is now invested in transhumanist therapies, literally banking on infant hearts. Bizarre. Epstein openly discussed using the ranch as a base for outlandish eugenics-inspired schemes, including plans to impregnate multiple women with his DNA to seed an improved human race through artificial insemination and genetic engineering, ideas he pitched to scientists from the Santa Fe Institute and other elite circles he courted in New Mexico.
My name is Juliet Bryant. I was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein 22 years ago. A lot of frightening things happened there.
I went outside to have a cigarette. I saw these three lights like in a triangle formation. Everything got weird. I felt very scared. But then what happened is I got locked out. I couldn't get back in. And that's also the time when I have that sort of flashback where I wake up paralyzed in a lab. There were 6 beings in hazmat suits around me. There was like a female doctor by my head.
It's okay. Everything is gonna be okay.
I think they were taking our eggs.
Whispers of even darker horrors have swirled around Zorro Ranch for years, fueled by an anonymous 2019 email purporting to come from a former staffer claiming that 2 foreign girls died by strangulation during rough fetish sex and were buried in the quiet hills nearby on orders from Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
In fact, there are records dating back to the mid-1990s of abuse happening at the ranch, including a report to the FBI in 1996 by a survivor and multiple other reports over the years. And one of the significant and important pieces of this case is to understand why justice was never pursued at the state, local, or federal level.
Zorro Ranch isn't short of strange. Back in July 2008, right as Epstein was checking into his cushy Florida jail suite for that sweetheart plea deal, his Zorro Trust suddenly clutched a $80 million winning Powerball ticket by none other than Bryce Gordon, Epstein's longtime ranch manager and the guy listed as trustee who signed off on the payout. The payout is confirmed by public records. Sounds more like a payoff. Epstein starts prison time and boom, his New Mexico playground gets an 8-figure cash infusion, likely to keep something very quiet. This renewed scrutiny could finally unearth long-buried truths or expose how deep the rot truly went in Epstein's empire of exploitation and delusion. John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
Yeah, I mean, the Epstein thing is something, right? And we're going to get into a bunch of this tomorrow night with John. We have quite a show in store for you. I want to play that so you can get an idea of there's a couple things that we're not going to let go of. One of them's the Epstein files and the pedophiles and all those people. We're not going to let that go. And we're not going to let go of Charlie Kirk. We're not going to, just because there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on and it's been 6 months, and we're not going to let the Charlie Kirk thing go. And one of the things that is very hard for me to understand is, there's a few things. The Butler shooting, how it just went away. Like it went away. I mean, Trump hasn't talked about it. Nobody, nowhere has talked about it. Alex Jones talked about it for a while, but I mean, nobody's talking about Butler. And we did, I don't know, we did probably 6 or 7 full deep dives in it. The shooting, all the different uh, trajectories of the show, all that stuff. We did a deep dive in that for several shows. And you would think that when Trump got into office, the first thing he would do is want to know who shot him. So that is a red flag for me. It really is. And then the Charlie Kirk thing is even more odd because some of the people that you would think that would be all over this are not. And that is just weird for me. I don't understand how they're not talking about it. They're not talking about Charlie Kirk. They kind of just went away. And they're saying that this kid shot him with 30-06 from 144 yards away, and Charlie Kirk has a Superman neck and all that bullshit. It's all bullshit. So anyway, in the few minutes that we have left, I want to play the thing with. I'll play a couple things. We'll play a few. I'm going to start right.
We are here to welcome one of the conservative movement's most talented, most outspoken, and most faithful leaders, Erica Kirk, to our great state. We're so proud to have her, and we're so proud of the incredible work that she is doing to help encourage students across the country to engage and join Club America, which we're launching here in Arkansas, and we're just honored to have you.
Thank you. God bless you. We're so grateful, and thank you for honoring Charlie and his legacy and his mission to have a Club America on every high school chapter across the country. So bless you guys, and thank you.
Shabbat Shalom Air Force Academy. As you know, I have taken over my beloved husband, my late husband, because one of the values that you learn here at the academy is Charlie believed God is in the air. He told me, I want to be with the Air Force. If you're ever called to serve, stop, serve, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If this country calls you to serve, you serve. And that's what you'll do. And your life can change in the blink of an eye. Get an opportunity. 10 minutes, you're called to become vice president. I ask you to serve, you serve. I'm asking you to serve. Go and fight for your country and make sure that Iran doesn't mess with Israel or the United States ever. Our hero. We have merch available.
We are Charlie Kirk.
I feel, and I cannot say for sure, but I feel that something was watching and it felt the clock ticking and its opportunity to finally bring about this war, which I think Netanyahu said he's been dreaming of for 40 years.
He did say that.
So something wanted this war to happen, and there was the perception that the opportunity, the window was closing, so it had to be brought about quickly. Given how public Charlie was on this topic, I can't help but wonder. Now, obviously, that will sound crazy to many people, that something would have even considered such a thing. But I will say that after Charlie was killed, Benjamin Netanyahu very quickly denied responsibility for it. I was shocked by this. It did not seem natural. Now, I'm not saying that that means that anything in that quadrant was responsible for the murder. All I know is that we didn't get a decent investigation. But I did feel, and maybe I hope you will tell me that I'm imagining this. I did feel that denial by Netanyahu was effectively a Rorschach test and maybe designed to be one. That I was supposed to feel alarmed by this, and a normal person was supposed to think that is batshit crazy. He said they didn't do it. Obviously, they didn't do it. So anyway, I'm not telling you that I see the evidence that somebody did it, but what I am telling you is we've just found ourselves in a war that Charlie would have been opposed to. We know that from his public and private statements, and that he would have been a formidable force in opposition. So what am I to think? Why? At least we should have an investigation that tells us for sure that we know who committed the crime and that there wasn't something larger about it. But look, now I've said unforgivable things. It's done.
I don't know why that's unforgivable. I mean, this is an American citizen, someone you knew, and you're not accusing anyone of anything. And I do think, leaving aside Charlie's murder and the question of who did it, for a foreign leader to weigh in immediately and hog all the attention and make it all about himself and start issuing all these statements about how Charlie lived and died for Israel is totally unforgivable. I say this as his friend. I just think if someone did that to me after my death, I think my family would be outraged. It's not about you,
right,
BB? So that was disgusting behavior from someone with a track record of disgusting behavior. But at the very least, we could say that's just wrong. That's not how you behave in the wake of a young man's murder. And I'm never alleged, I don't even talk about this topic, and I'm not going to now, other than to say, I think everything you've said is entirely reasonable, and it's not an insult to the living.
Well,
to want to know what happened to the dead.
I feel, and I cannot say for.
I have one more. So they were. So Candace Owens came out yesterday with her show, and she did a breakdown of an angle of the of Charlie being shot. We're going to get into a little bit more of it tomorrow with John, but I wanted to play this. It's probably 5 minutes or something. It's a little bit. It's 6 minutes or whatever, but I'm just play it and let you be the judge of it. But let me do a synopsis of it. It's the rear camera that she kept talking about needing. She wanted that camera because remember the media dude took the camera down, the one that was behind him. And I guess when she was talking to Terrell, whatever his name is, she videoed it with her phone while while he was showing her the recording, and it's pretty interesting. So we'll just go ahead and play this. If you haven't seen it, it's worth the time to.
By the way, I think that was order or something. I can confirm fast and it looks back to his necklace. That is his necklace. By the way, there's no. Tyler, we can get. Well, of course, we can show them the magnet that's still on. on him. It's a lot of story. Everybody had a personal story about Charlie's necklace, which struck me as very odd. It struck me as odd because, Erica, Frank tells the story about how he came out with a backpack from the car as the feds were searching the hospital, and necklace on his backpack, which was in the car. And the feds were looking for that. Really? Why were the feds looking for the necklace? How did they know he had a necklace? Erica, of course, has told several stories about the necklace and how precious the necklace was. How grateful she was that she got the necklace back. I think I got to go back and look through it. But everyone's got a story about the necklace. It seems like a strange focus today, and so I want to just point that out, that it is the necklace that is hanging at, and maybe. And the stat for Charlie is his pro blood heading backward. That feels wrong to me. That instantly felt wrong to me for what they are telling us took place here, which is 35-6. Not even enough to pretend that this was like an event where it already is, I would say, insane to try to say this was some miracle event and Charlie's neck stopped this. It gets even crazier when you say, but it didn't even cause any blood. Everything you saw was blood that came because an artery got hit, and that went forward. Never buy the narrative that 30-6. We can continue, and we can sort of point out some more the magnet clasp right there. Some people were wondering. Some people a lot of stuff about the. That's it. It's still on him. I know those things are powerful, and I think John Bray explained magnet clasp would have stayed on theory, and I think I would say it's well adapted theory that Rode microphone. There, which I think is good. Thought that he had not. Back to that slide so they can see that guy. Yeah. Going?
It's like it got cut. I don't know what happened, but it got cut a little bit. So I'll get the better one. I'll get the one from Candace's for tomorrow, and we'll kind of go through it a little bit and see what we can come up with, because that got cut at about 5:25, maybe something like that. So. Yeah, so we'll get into that tomorrow. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Please share this information, cut it up, please put it out. Any help that you could give me on getting this information on the internet, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'm a one-man operation here. I don't have a bunch of editors and stuff like that. So if any help you could give me, that'd be great. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out My Patriot Supply. There's a QR code on the top corner of the stream, or you could go to the description in the video and check out My Patriot Supply. Your support is the reason why I can be here doing this. Thank you guys very much. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. God bless you all. Until then, be safe out there.